So I was searching for options for downrange cameras, and I stumbled upon a company called Longshot Camera. And really what caught my eye was that it had a wireless range of 2 miles. And I was like, what in the world? And from a tech perspective, man, I had lots of questions on how that's even possible. And after a little back and forth on their chat feature on their website, I found myself on the phone with their director of sales and CEO. Super cool guys, and a cool little US company here. So anyways, they gave me the rundown on it, and everything started to click and I understood it. So I'll break it down here in just a second. But while it's not intended for what I was thinking, for a long range camera to kind of show and capture different angles, they sent one for me to check out anyways. And I'm glad they did, as this thing is just incredibly cool. And I think a lot of you fellow shooters are just going to absolutely love it. So let me show you why. It took like 30 seconds to set up, and then I put it downrange to start testing it. Sure enough, squirrels everywhere. And you know what? These things are distracting. So I had to double tap this one before I really got to play with the target shooting features that this thing was intended for. With that said, those close-up shots that you just saw there were pretty good, and that was filmed through this device. So its official name is the Longshot LR3, and it's essentially a camera with a really high-powered internal Wi-Fi and a pretty big battery inside this as well. So the standalone one streams to an iPhone or an iPad up to 200 yards. And yes, they have an Android version if you use that garbage too. You can then add the second booster, which just sits right next to you where you're shooting, and the range jumps to a staggering 2 miles. Cameron, the CEO, actually just won the King of 1 Mile and is moving up to the King of 2 Miles. And those long range days to prep for those events is where the birthplace really of this camera system. So the main features are all within their app. So I grabbed my Steyr Pro X on an absolutely freezing day to check it out. And this is only about 30 yards. But that doesn't matter because I'm able to showcase really how this thing works. It doesn't really matter what the yards are. So after a simple little target setup to calibrate the app, I started shooting. After each shot, you just tap the screen where the shot landed. In real time, the app can calibrate group size and provide critical data to make the adjustments needed to really dial it in if you're using it to 0, or just simple group sizes in real time. It's pretty amazing. The controls within the app are really intuitive. I did watch like a 5-minute video to get the lay of the land a bit, but other than that, I was shooting within a few minutes of taking this thing out of the box. You can turn multiple groups on just by changing the color of your marker. So after you're done with one group, change the color and you're on to the second. So the app films using the screen record feature of your phone, and this is perfect for this purpose, but for recording shots on critters like you saw on that squirrel earlier, it's a little choppy. But after playing around with it, like for its real intended purposes, I absolutely fell in love with this thing. It's super cool. So the base system I'm using here is essentially the cost of a GoPro. So in my humble opinion, this is an amazing value with a feature set that delivers everything a target shooter would ever really want. If you want to check it out, I'll throw a link in the description, and thanks to the guys over at Longshot for sending it to me and let me check it out. I am 100% going to snag one of these for up at the farm for the longer range stuff. It's going to be amazing.